Hi there, Brett here. Welcome back to Tabletop Sagas, and we are back once again with some more miniatures for Test of Honor. As you can see here, I have finally gotten to the rest of those Ashigaru spearmen. So let's have a little bit of talk about these, show you what else I've been working on, and let's just dive right in. So you may well remember that in one of my more recent videos, I painted up a load of Takeda and then followed that up pretty quickly with similar numbers for the Uesugi, so the reds and then the purples. But one of the problems that I had when I got to these guys is that I ran out of 25mm bases. So I kind of didn't manage to get as many as I wanted to have, and that was a little bit frustrating. And so I ordered some new ones, obviously, and I did actually get very, very lucky because I was painting in preparation for a specific game with some friends, but as it happened, that actual game got delayed by about a week or two, so perfect, I actually had enough time to get these painted up, and that's what I've done. As you can see here, they are painted up in the same style as my previous video, so I have used Shaiish Purple from the Citadel contrast range rather than Leviathan Purple, which I'd used previously. I am continuing to really like that colour, to be perfectly honest. The amount of highlighting it actually works like how they advertise a contrast paint should work. So absolutely over the moon with that. And then using some bases for the grey and the white and the black and the leather as well, all from Citadel contrast range, and then going back in with some highlights, except for these helmets. The helmets, as always for these, because they are those pointy domed sort of ones, and they really don't take a contrast well, those are done with just standard acrylics. So this rounds out the last of my Ashigaru force for both the Takeda and the Uesugi. And really, I don't think I have a massive amount that I want to do with either of those at the minute. However, that said, there is a little bit of a community that I'm finding who are interested in playing this game, and so I am wanting to expand out into other groups or factions, quote unquote, to use a more gamified sort of term for Test of Honor. And that's why I've also been working on these 5 miniatures. And these are the Perry Miniatures Ninja. Seems an obvious one. Now, did Ninja really exist in the way that we in the sort of popular imagination think that they did? Almost certainly not. But are they kind of just cool and something that I wanted to put into my force? Absolutely. And it does give a force that looks distinctly different than the Ashigaru and the Samurai. So they are a great starting point, I think. So what have we got here? Well, we've got 3. So that's these 3 that are coming up now. So the guy wielding his sword, the guy with the sickle on a chain, and then the guy reaching to his scabbard on his back. Treating them as melee guys, and the guy throwing shuriken, or throwing stars, I'm never quite sure which, and throwing the clay, almost like a bomb, I guess it would be. I'm going to have them as ranged guys. So we've got a 3-man unit and then 2 individuals. It's not enough by itself for an individual force, but it is the makings of one. And I do think if I mix it together with some of my Onibugeisha, so the female warriors, and things like that as well, we can sort of put together a distinct feeling third faction, which we can all play against one another. And these miniatures, as always, they are Perry miniatures. They are absolutely lovely sculpts, really characterful, and even though they are clearly classically hand sculpted and metal cast, they are absolutely brilliant, brimming with detail, but not overly brimming, not like your certain games that I won't mention where it's skulls upon skulls and details upon details. These have interesting details, but enough details, and not too many, and they're not overdone, which is great. And as you can see, the miniatures, I have tried to paint them in that typical black uniform that they would have of sneaking in to do some assassination or sabotage mission or something like that, that typical ninja sort of thing. And I'm actually really quite happy with this black, to be honest, as well. Because it just kind of came about. So it was sprayed them all white. Strangely enough, white, excellent base colour for doing blacks these days. And then I did a black Templar contrast, Citadel, basically all over wash type thing with that, just to get that really deep black in the recesses and get a little bit of a blue colour to it, because as we all know, just painting black straight as black really doesn't work. I then went through a couple of different dry brushes of medium to light grey. So just 3 of them, getting slightly progressively higher up the miniature, progressively lighter touch. So, might do an all over for the deepest grey, and then from about the waist up for the second grey, and then just a really light over the head and the shoulders for the final effective edge highlighting, basically. Then leave all that to dry. Once it was dry, then come back in with a Nuln Oil wash, so a black wash that then just sinks down into really, really the deepest crevices and also knocks back that a little bit of dusty effect that you can get with dry brushing. So it's really quick, really simple. I'd recommend certainly giving it a try. And these miniatures were the perfect opportunity to do it. As you can see, there's a lot of folds on the cloth. There's a lot of detail in the movement, and those are picked out quite nicely. But I do think that the miniature overall does still read as black, rather than, as can sometimes happen, is that they end up reading more as grey. Other than that, the rest really was just entirely contrast paints. I know some people have opinions about contrast, but I personally, for this sort of project, absolutely love them. It really gets these onto the table really nice and quickly. And speaking of that, getting them onto the table, that's exactly what I'm going to be doing in the next couple of days. So I've got a load of friends getting together and we're going to play some Test of Honor and try out a 3-sided game, basically, and I am really looking forward to it. We are really, really enjoying Test of Honor. We have swung back around to playing it again. It is one of those great... I describe it as being almost like a sorbet. It's a palate cleanser sort of game. And that said, I have spent an awful lot of money on what is basically we don't really know what we want to do. Should we get out the Test of Honor? But still, I'm really enjoying painting the models and we really enjoy the game. So ultimately, it is absolutely worth it. So the question really is, where do I take my Test of Honor collection from here? And the short answer is there's a lot of different places that I could take it. I absolutely do want to expand the Ninja. Unfortunately, Perry Miniatures don't do any more Ninjas, or I would be buying a second box of those and maybe some different poses. However, I do know that Warlord Games do sell their own 10 box of Ninja. They're designed more for their fantasy sort of setting, so whether they'll be quite as good a fit as the Perry ones, I don't know, but I'm still going to certainly come and give them a try and a look. They also do have a set of bandits, I think it is, and one of those is very clearly a ninja, but looks to be a little bit more of an interesting looking ninja. Basically, he isn't wearing a full head wrap thing, so he actually could be used as a ninja character. So that will give me 16 ninja in total. So I am very, very tempted to pick up those 2 boxes. Maybe not at the minute because they are £37, and that's quite expensive to get what is effectively 11 more miniatures for this faction. Maybe if it goes on sale, I will pick it up then, is what I'm thinking. So the next step is I have picked up some of the monks from Perry Miniatures, and I think they're probably what I'm going to go for next. So some monks and some ninja, a little smattering of both of those in with my collection, and I do think that will go really, really nicely. So that's where I'm at for today, what I've been working on this week. Do let me know what you think. If you like these miniatures, if you like Test of Honor, do let me know down in the comments below. I'm trying to figure out some way to maybe do some battle reports for Test of Honor as well, but I am really struggling with solo. How do you do it with the random activation? I'm still working on some ideas for that, but if that's something you want to see, let me know and I'll see what I can do. I also do have some Japanese houses and terrain that I need to get painted up, which I think I would like to do a full tutorial video on those because I do think they are really nice and they are quite a good option for anybody, particularly with a plastic 3D printer. As always, if you do want to see more of these hobby update videos and anything else I've got coming out in the future, do be sure as well, while you're down looking at the comments, maybe consider hitting the subscribe button. It does really help. The channel is growing really nicely at the minute, and I really do appreciate everybody that does take the time to subscribe. And also, if you can hit the like button, costs you nothing, and honestly, I know everyone says it, does really help out the channel. Anyway though, that's all of the YouTubery stuff out of the way. Thank you very much for watching today. Brett here at Tabletop Sagas, and I'll catch you in the next video.